Yes, we're live.
Oh yeah.
Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining us. Wherever you're joining from, please feel free to interact with us.
Absolutely.
I can see someone there already saying, waiting patiently.
Yep,
We are just as expectant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, and you're welcome. If you're on here, you must be on Foundation for Family Affairs on YouTube. So feel free to subscribe, interact with us. Ask as many questions as possible. Our guests, they're ready. I tell you. Okay,
Absolutely.
so today we've got something with a very phenomenal couple. They will be sharing their romance and intimacy story. We'll be having a peek into what their lives are like. And I think there's something really awesome there.
Yes.
So I won't do all the unwrapping right now. So we'll find out as we go on. You want to say something?
Yeah. So our names are?
I am Chidi, and with me is my dear husband, Victor Akuna. So thank you for coming on, and let's enjoy this ride.
Absolutely.
I'll get our guests out now. Yes. So with us today are Michelle and Franklyn Echemah. Thank you.
Guys.
Hello, guys. Thank you.
How you guys doing? Yeah,
We're good.
we're good.
Thank you. How do you feel?
Hey, I feel like, hey, I'm live.
You're
Right.
Okay, so we can't wait to get into your lives now. Okay, as you can tell, I'm just as excited. Who do I start with now?
I'll go
Okay,
first.
and some people are rooting for you already. Some say hello, and the Chemas, they're saying hello to you. I hope you can see them. Good to see you both. Yeah.
Yep.
And someone will say hello, Michelle. So yes, Michelle, talk to us. Tell us about how you lovely people met.
Okay.
Say first.
So we met back home. We had gone home for my grandpa's funeral,
Okay.
and I had met him through my sister. Actually, my sister and her husband at the time. They were planning a wedding in 2010.
Cool.
My sister and her fiance were planning a wedding in 2010. However, it didn't happen. It happened in 2011. They had met him downtown, and so he came by the house the next day to pick him up, and I was going somewhere. And I asked if he could drop us off to where I was going at the bus station. But we ended up not going, and we ended up hanging out with him through the time. But the first time that I met him, I didn't like him. You know?
Cool.
Okay, wait. What was that?
I didn't like him at all. The first time I met him, I was like, who is this guy? And he had like a way about him, like an attitude about him. And I was like, why? So we weren't
Cool
friends.
himself.
Yeah, we weren't friends the first
I feel
time.
real cool.
Okay.
So we met again in 2011 when my sister finally got married. And I just watched him, this person that they didn't know from anywhere. And he was so resourceful and he was so helpful.
Wow.
And during the wedding, I remember my aunties were saying, hey, have you seen this guy? And I was like, no, I don't like him. He's way too braggadocious. And I remember that evening, me and him talked. So I guess we're going to get to that.
We
That's
get
how
to
we
that.
met.
We get to that.
Okay, let's give our viewers some perspective here. You said you went home. Where did you go? Where is home
Nigeria.
and where did you go from?
From the U.S. I lived in
US.
the U.S. a long time.
Okay.
And I went home to Nigeria for my sister's
Okay.
Tell them to home now. Your village.
home to Nigeria.
Where in Nigeria?
Oh dear. Okay. So when was this? When was the first time he met you?
The first time we met was actually in 2010 during my grandfather's funeral.
Okay. And then you met again.
Huh?
And then you met again in 2011.
And we met again in 2011 at my sister's wedding.
Okay.
Oh, cool. So let me just ask you, Frank. First time you saw her, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Man, I had nothing in my mind. When I saw her, I was like, honestly, there was nothing. There was no chemistry. I just saw her and I was like, and we just talked generally. There was no attraction, there was no chemistry, there was nothing. So I was just myself. Yes, I was braggadocious. And you know how it is back home, right? Bro, man, when you work real hard and you're seeing those green papers roll in, man, sometimes you don't know who you are until you start making money, you know? And Nigeria, you know how Nigeria is, man. We just have to talk. You know? So I was just myself, you know, me, Frankie. Chidima, you all know me now. So, hey,
Okay, we're having an interview here.
So how did this start? How did the chemistry begin? How did it start?
After I met her the first time, there was nothing. I was just myself. Second time, and that was when I met the sister was about to get married. So I literally planned the wedding, you know. And at the wedding, people were asking me, "Are you the one getting married?" You know, and I was really involved in everything from A to Z. Like literally, I should say I was a planner. I was a runner. I was everything. They used all my resources in the wedding. So then in that wedding, when I did everything, I didn't know she was over there watching. So I didn't even like honestly. I don't. Okay, since you guys are asking this right now, I'll just say it. So can I?
Of course.
Okay. So the aunt was more like she was asking me. You know, we're talking. I am the aunt. She lives in Chicago, and she was asking me a lot of questions. I didn't know where she was going. So it was after I got married to her that she told me the aunt was the one who actually came to tell her. Can you
yes, because they were saying, "Oh, look, have you seen this guy? Look at Franklyn over there." And I was like, "I do not like him." And my aunt said, well, "If you don't like him, I'm going to hook him up with somebody else in the U.S." And I was like, "What is so about it?" I was not about to waste any time. Now, we didn't date. We never dated. That very night after my sister's wedding, I just walked outside and I said, "When I get married next year?" He's like, "No, wait, we're not getting married."
Are you serious? Hang on, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Fantastic.
When they asked me, "Would you marry me?" I was like, "Whoa." I said, "Look." And you know, for me, oh man, I could be blunt. I think I'm better because she has really helped me a lot in a way I respond to questions because I'm so direct. And I was like, I don't even have feelings for you. Like, I barely know you. Like, how can you just tell me, would you marry me? Yeah. So I was like, no, wait a second. So that same night, I asked my friends because I had two of my friends, and the other guy was like, all these girls will they pursue you because of your small money. This one doesn't need your money, and she's from your place. She doesn't like. She just wants you, not your money. So that song in my head. Then I called my dad because I just broke up from a relationship of 3 years.
Okay.
There was so much. That's a different topic for another day. And so I was still trying to heal. Then when she said, I told her no. So when I told my dad was like, "Where's she from?" And I told my dad was like, "Since this one didn't work, and that was from another tribe, from your tribe, from your village, from your place." So my dad gave me a yes. My friends gave me yes. I asked my pastor, and they gave me yes. I was like, that was when I made up my mind. And in a month's time, I called her back and I said, "You know what? That thing you said that last month, I think I'm
ready for it."
But I said, let's get married.
Wow.
I wasn't ready for dating anymore because I did it for 2 years and I said, man, I'm done dating.
Now, there is something I'd like to extract from your stories, because she said her auntie was doing more like a background check, which is something that sometimes people kind of forget these days. Though they liked you, but they still went on to do a background check.
Yeah, they did.
And same thing for you. You went to do a background check, and at the end of the day, because at the end, sometimes we forget this little thing that you want to know who you are getting married. You can't love someone without knowing them. So doing that background check was really, really nice. So you felt safe.
They went as far as sending people to go to my village.
Wow.
Family where I'm from. Like, I got people calling me and saying,
fantastic,
for those or whatever.
But that was when we started planning.
That was when we started planning. Yeah.
Yes.
They did
fantastic.
Okay. Mitch, when you asked him that question, where you didn't have any concerns at all?
Well, so here's that is like the story surrounding the whole thing. The day before the wedding, the day before my sister's wedding, he had been running around all day. Now, mind you, he didn't know my sister from before, right? They just met in 2011, and someone said, "Hey, this is my friend," and they were introducing him to her fiance's to her fiance at the time, like, oh, this is my my friend, and then this is his fiance, and he's like, oh, where are you from? And she says, I'm from Amaoma. He's like, oh my goodness, you're my sister. That's it. And that's how they met.
Wow.
And the next day I met him, right? And he was very resourceful and very helpful during
Wow.
his funeral. And then come my sister's
Wow.
wedding, this same person that they didn't know from Adam was
Wow.
so resourceful and so helpful during the
Wow.
wedding. So that night, I remember on our way home, he was taking us home, and I asked him, did you eat yet? And he said no. And so I said, okay, before you leave and go back home, I'm going to make you food. So I made him food that night. And so he's like, hey, sit at the table with me. Let's talk. And the first question he asked me was, do you speak in tongues? And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, well, I need a wife that speaks in tongues. And I was like, but that was way back then.
Yeah.
And I started talking, just a regular conversation. Hey, what are you looking for in a spouse? Because I was like, okay, I know people in the US. I could hook him up. And so while he was talking and saying, this is what I want, this is what I need. And I'm like, that's what I want. Exactly. This is what I want in a man. And we were talking. And he really said something that resonated with me. He said, love is not necessarily a feeling. It's a decision. It's a commitment, something that you decide every day, because feelings are fickle, you know. If you go by your feelings and you change at any moment. I'm keeping you for myself. You married me.
Fantastic.
So yes.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That's how it happened.
Okay. So, at the point of marriage, on the day you married, did you have any concerns about what you were walking into? Maybe were there questions in your mind?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I was scared because I wanted to get married. I didn't want to date, and I told her, let's just get married. And she was like, so when I called her January, I said, let's get married the next month. She said, oh no, September. I said no, because I'm proud today. I was, man, my prayer altar was hot. You know, and right now I'm actually praying for God to take me to that place where I first met him, you know, because there's a lot of distractions. America, man, you need to be focused, because this environment can take you off. There's a lot of things I've found myself doing. I'm like, man, what is wrong with me? You know, I'm happening every day. I'm working on my salvation every day. But when I was home, the first time I was ordained 2010 as a pastor, you know, my life in school, you know, being a pastor's son, and I was everywhere. I was, you know, good boy in quotes. So I wanted to prove to the world that, because I had clouds of great witnesses, people were looking up to me, some were looking at me to fail. So I was living my life not just for God, but for people, because people were looking at me. They're like, this bad boy, let's see how he's going to do this pastor thing and all that. So I was trying to prove a point, and at the same time, I was tiptoeing in so many things, right? So with my wife, right, when I told her we need to get married January, right? I said next month. She said September. I said no. Tell your mom, because I had prayed for the mom prior to the time when she visited. The mom was sick, so I prayed for her. So I said, tell your mom, that guy that prayed for her, I want the wedding done so time. And she wanted us to do the wedding in Chicago. And I was like, if we do in Chicago, only a few of my friends will be able to come. And I was a youth pastor at the time, over 32 churches. So people were looking up to me, and I wanted to show them what it means to have a wedding, to be faithful in the church. So I know I hurt her feeling, because we did a mass wedding and she didn't like it. That was Winners Chapel. And that's why I promised her a time alone next year. It was going to be our 10 year.
Fantastic. Now autumn.
Yeah. So what I did was I had to tell her. She was like, okay. I said, you know what? We're going to do it in March. Tell your mom. And she called, and everything happened in March. That was a court wedding.
I wanted to be a June bride.
June bride.
You paid the bride price.
Yeah. So I paid the bride price in March. Then we did a court wedding. That was March, April, May 16. Everything was 16. Then June 16, they all came back. We had the white wedding, and that was it.
Fantastic.
I think I was just more excited on the wedding day than anything else. It was afterwards, 2 days later, I was like, myself.
But I was scared.
Okay, we'll be getting to that soon.
Man.
Okay. We might as well just take that, because we're going to ask you next, what were the first few years of marriage like for you? But yes, you said something about being scared 2 days after. Tell us about
it. 2 days later.
Okay, let me go first. I felt I made a mistake, because we quarreled almost over every little thing. Like it was more about getting to know each other. And man, she's very passionate, I'm very passionate. So we quite about and for me, I grew up in a deeper life home where I don't see all this makeup thing. It's more like natural thing, right? So
Okay.
my turn on is just beneath. All right. So all this extra thing doesn't move me, you know. And so for her, she's more like, you didn't see my nail, I made my nail, I made my hair. So we cried about those things, and it took me a while. And before then, when I make calls, it's more like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm done. Waiting, sorry, I got to speak pidgin. Waiting me and woman they do on the phone for 1 hour. But I had to learn how to talk. Like my wife is communication. That's all right now. Do you know in a day sometimes like I work from home. She goes to work. In a day, if you check our call, we talk like 5 or 6 hours on the phone.
Wow, fantastic.
Yes. So the communication thing, that's why sometimes I'll be like, man, even if we're not gonna break up, but if I break up with this girl, it's gonna be real hard because she's like we've gotten to a point where we communicate, we talk about everything, and it's scary, like it's really, really scary. So those were my fears, and I felt what did I get myself into? Because this is not me, but I had to learn. You know, I had to learn this.
The main thing is that we started out as friends, even though we quarreled all the time, but we were more like friends. Like it was this. God is our foundation always, but there was this unspoken thing where even in our quarrel, we knew how to talk to each other like friends. I guess because we were still getting to know each other, and so there were some things he would say, and I'm like, "Are you kidding?" There was a big what do I call it? Communication gap, being that I had been in the US a long time and I'm a huge Samaritan. And so I took words as they were. And it was kind of like a loggerhead all the time. But in doing that, we were still getting to know each other. We were still getting to understand how we work together and learning our love languages. So it was interesting. It was a little bit, what do I call it? Like turbulent, but it was. What is that?
Yeah, it's music.
But it was interesting. It was good. It was interesting. I know I had times when I always wondered what in the world, but most of the time I would be like, oh my God, I knew what I wanted in a husband. God gave me that and more. I was amazed that he could cook, that he's a cook. And I was like, oh my God, he cooks and he sings. And there's a lot of things. He's very, for lack of a better word, domestic, right? And so because of that, what just kept us going, that kept us like getting to know each other. It's like what is it called during Easter here? Like an egg hunt. When you're hunting that egg, it's like super exciting. So getting to know the intricacies of each other made it so much more exciting. And through the quarrels, we were able to like even instead of it pulling us apart, it actually was closer because of the
very good. Did you do a lot of talking during your courtship?
Definitely.
We didn't call it. We caught it in our marriage. We didn't call it. There was no courtship. We got married.
Well, you guys had the rules. I just went straight
when Abraham told his servant, said, "Go thee to my father's house."
Yes.
Your wife and my son. For me, I was done because in courtship works for a lot of people, but for us, it didn't work for me because I've been in a different relationship, and I was like, when I found out some things after 3 years, I was like, you know what, I'm done. So we heard, and I told her, I said, look, I'm not ready to court, I'm not ready to date. Are you ready to get married? So right now we're courting, we're dating. That's what we're doing. How you guys doing? And there's a lot of fun right now because we're doing everything right now. So I mean, it worked for us.
Yes. And it's funny because we had been saying the same prayer. It was years later that we actually talked about it. And it turned out he had been praying to God that he just wanted to meet the person he wanted to marry and just marry them without dating. And I had written that down actually. And I had said, wow, I'm tired of dating. I just want to meet the person I'm going to marry and get married. No dating. Wow. And then we get to know each other in our marriage, which is
wow. That has been great answered. Yeah. So I think as you guys are talking, a lot of what we're going to ask you guys are already addressing it. And so she has said some of the things that she found attractive, in Franklyn. So Frank, do you want to tell us a little bit of some of what you found attractive?
Man, this woman, man, I grew up in Nigeria, man. Women love money. My wife, like sometimes I used to ask her, I said, are you just pretending? How long are you gonna pretend? She's not monetaralistic. That's my word. Like, like even I'm the person. Like sometimes she will be like, I grew up I grew up very hard. Like things were hard. So my dad worked so hard to pull me to the point where I got to. And some of my friends on the platform, they know. So at 21, by the grace of God, I made the first 1 million I made at 21. I was like, "Whoo, I'm a millionaire," right? And so it was more of a pride for me that I didn't have to do fraud. I had to work hard to get what I got, right? So to have a woman that wasn't much materialistic, despite the fight we fight about all this, my nail, my hair, but those major things that causes issues in marriages. At the point, I thought she was pretending, but man, this 9 years going to 10 years, 9 years. I'm like, how long is this girl going to pretend? But
no, that's a real
what
deal.
I do is I make sure she doesn't like anything. Like, even before she asks, I do it. Like, so I make sure I go far and beyond because I'm like, man, this girl know they ask, Sometimes I'll be like, so it's I love that part about her. Then again, she's very forgiving. She's very forgiving. She's beautiful. She has a very contagious smile. Yeah. And sometimes I think I like your stubbornness small.
Just
not every time. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. She can be stubborn, but yeah, I like it small, but and I love Michelle is beautiful. She has a beautiful soul, right? And that's why I'm a kind of person that if I don't like you and I have a problem with you, I don't talk. You know how people say address your issues with people. For me, I don't talk to God because I go with the scripture that says, if possible, if possible, be at peace with all men. So, and if Christ could not be at peace with everybody, even the Pharisees and Sadducees, it cuts them out. And I'm like, I don't need to be at peace with everybody. So we're not all brethren, I'm a very, yeah. So for her, I have to talk about everything. And that's why I said, look, if I treat you the way I treat my friends, I don't think we'll be talking. All this communication will die, and that's where the marriage stop dying. So one thing I know I love about her is she taught me how to communicate. And now I'm a very good communicator. Michelle taught me that.
Awesome. And that shows some flexibility on your part as well to learn, which is something we would often highlight when we speak to couples. Like you're coming from different backgrounds, so there's that need for some flexibility for the marriage to work. Really interesting. Okay, so how did you adjust then? Because we understand you came from two different cultures. You've flagged up a little, one or two things here and there. But how did you even things out?
So I think a lot of the evening things are we cultivated a friendship. So it's like if there's something that I need to communicate, we just talk about it. If there's something that's bothering me, or if there's something that I need, or if there's a communication lacking somewhere, then we just talk. We talk. We're like friends, and we bicker like friends or like brother and sister. I think, but I think it's that foundation of friendship, and also God Almighty is our help. You know what I mean? And so it helps us to see things from each other's perspective and to understand each other, and just always talking to each other in love. So,
yeah, okay. But I don't want to say that. Maybe you guys might ask that question. Let me keep it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, keep asking because I know because I watch you guys a lot. Go ahead.
Okay.
Wow. So if you were to give an advice, I know we still have some other questions that we're going to ask, but if you had to give an advice for people who are yet to get married, what would you say to them that they should prioritize, considering how you guys met each other? What would you say they should prioritize?
Yeah.
Okay, for me, what I would say is cultivate friendship. Cultivate friendship, because friendship, if you cultivate that friendship, right, it really helps a lot. So never allow what other people say affect a relationship. So because what people say, if you allow it, it affects that bond. The only outside factor that you should allow in your relationship is what God says. And I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of voices out there. One, I say family voices, friends, environment, your job. Like there's a lot. Then your dreams, your aspirations, your career. They are voices. These are factors that can affect a relationship. So if you cultivate a relationship and say yourself, it's me and this person, we're friends. If you can silence those voices and let it be God's voice and your voice, then others, then you'll be fine.
How about you, Michelle?
So for people who are yet to get married out there, I would say be open-minded. Talk to God about what you want, because literally that's what I did, and that's why it wasn't an issue. Because when I met the person that I was supposed to marry, I just like it just kind of all fell into place. Because how many people do you see that get married, that just meet someone and say, "Hey, let's get married," and it works out? You know what I mean? It's a few
Yes.
apart in between. So it's knowing yourself, understanding yourself, being confident in yourself first before you start to see that other person, and making sure that you keep your heart open to God and say, "Dear God, I know you love me. I know that you have the best plans for me. Let me meet that person that's mine." You know what I mean? And always understand that, like what he said to me, love is not a feeling. You go by a feeling, you will lose that
I'm
feeling.
telling you, man.
So before you get married, have that in your mind. Love, just that commitment backed up by, what was it? Backed up by
decision,
by
your
this,
decision, your
yes, that
responsibilities.
constantly knowing that you have to
Be
wake up in the
intentional.
morning and be intentional about loving the person that you're with.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? Because you could wake up one day, I don't know how many times I woke up and my hair was all over the place, you know, or he goes to work and comes back and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't take a shower yet. And then you look at the person like, what did I see in you? You know, but understanding that it's a decision, because when you know that it's a decision, even when you're angry, you will say, "No, because I love this person, let me say this way. Because I love this person, let me do this." Otherwise, if you don't make it a conscious decision, it's easy to just do things on a whim. You see, it's easy to go by how you feel and say, "I don't want this anymore." So once you have that in your mind, it'll be easy, because once you get into a marriage, your thoughts are not, "I'm about to get out."
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you for that. I mean, there's so much to glean from what you've shared. Thank you. Thank you from what you both have said.
And sorry, let me chip this before you guys conclude. For the couples out there, always know that whenever the challenges come, just know it's not against your partner. It's against principalities, against powers, because there would always be challenges. Sometimes I'll be like, man, like you know, it's sometimes when it happens, I'll be like, you know what, we don't even need to talk about it. Let's just pray. So when we pray, guess what? Everything gets settled, because sometimes we try to fix it by ourselves, by our knowledge, what we know about relationship, what we know about you know, the things we've read and all that. I'm like, you know what? Enough of this voice. Let's just pray. And when we pray, everything comes into being. So whatever you're going through, just know that it's an event. It will pass. It's not coming to stay. But just connect. See, that veil has been broken. You have right and free access to God. Tell him, just he would listen. You can tell man can talk about you. Man can tell somebody about what you're telling them. But when you tell God, between you and God, it's sorted out. And there's this peace that comes with you when you just, you know what? Because man, for me, you can ask her, I confide more with God than people. I have many, but I confide more in God. I mean, it works for me. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Fantastic. I think someone asked a question.
Yeah, someone asked a question, because we know you're very busy people.
Yeah.
But you both work in the military as well.
Run businesses.
You run businesses. You serve as pastors. Okay, and someone just asked a very apt question: how do you cope with working in the same field?
We actually don't work in the same field. We were both in the military. He is Army. I was Navy. I just got out last year. So it was two different, what do you call it, military branches.
Yes.
However, we always had, like, there were times when we would have engagements at the same time. So he's going this way for his military, and I'm going that way for my military. But it was just understanding it, because the thing with the military, whether you're single or married, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know that there are times that you want to have fun or do what you want, but no, it's your military duty first and then everything else. Because we understood that, we knew. So we always, like, if we were able to plan it, And if I knew that he had something going on or like a military assignments coming up, so then we plan, okay, we're going to have fun this weekend, and then you're going to be gone for however many months, right?
Mhm.
Or if I know that we're both going to be gone at the same time, we make sure to put our plans in place at home before we go on separate assignments.
Fantastic.
It was tough because I know there were times when he was gone. Actually, he was gone for a few of my son's birthdays. We just
Wow.
Yes, we adjusted. My son had fun for his birthday, and he called. Through my daughter's pregnancy, he was gone for most of it as well. But I
Wow.
had a lot
For
of
8 months.
for 8 months when I was pregnant.
Wow.
Yes, but I had a lot of social support. Some of the support he put in place actually, and then we have a lot of social support out in the community,
Fantastic.
and we kept in touch on WhatsApp all the time. We talked, even though
And
he was
I cooked,
gone.
and I cooked for you for months.
Yes, he surely
What's
did.
your-
Because I didn't have to cook when he was gone. Whenever he was deployed, I didn't have to cook because we have a big freezer, and he made different kinds of foods for me and put them in the freezer, package them, and so that was what I was eating until he came back. Unless I wanted something different, then I would make something more. But yeah, we kind of coordinated our times. And if it was like really sudden, like just in April, we just had a vacation in April. However, it turned out that he had a military assignment that same weekend. He had to work, but we still traveled, and I had fun with the kids and my family, but he was mostly indoors, getting his military assignment done. So we just learned to adjust.
And somehow it's better now because I was active at the time, and after my active duty and became a veteran, so I decided to go back in again into the army as an army instructor. So I'm an instructor. I teach I teach in I teach AIT and ALC Advanced Leadership course to the army, and so I also teach in the civilian. I just got a civilian position to also teach as an instructor. But prior to then, I'm a project manager with the firm I work for, and I run my own small business, consults and stuff like that. Then with the army, so actually this country has taught me how to multitask. Like you said, I do multitask. Like I can literally, like right now, I'm still doing this stuff right now. I'm on military drill right now. My Microsoft team is on, but I'm monitoring what is going on. But I have to give in this 1 hour, so I can get back to.
Fantastic.
I can be in church. I'm also a pastor in church, and my church I understand. So I never knew I could do multitasking. Yeah, multitasking. But I'm saying like have different stuff going on at the same time. It's really difficult because sometimes, okay, like last 3 months, I was gone to New Jersey for like a month. While I was gone, I had statistics. I mean, God, and I'm a doctorate student. I call you a lot of time to ask, for advice and stuff. So it's not easy, but with God, everything is possible. So if I could run a business, do project management, work as an instructor in both fields, college, civilian, and the military, and be a husband, cook for the house, take care of my wife, and do my part as a husband. I think everything is possible. You can do all things with God, with God.
Absolutely.
Support. And so it's possible. It's really possible.
Absolutely.
I didn't know I could do it. So, but it is possible.
So that's you stretching.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel your romance tank? How do you ensure that you nurture your intimacy in the process?
I like to travel. We travel a lot. So we have a lot of getaways, whether it's a weekend getaway or an actual vacation.
Wow.
We talk a lot. We're very playful around the house. Like when you're in here, you can't tell the difference between us and the kids because we're like the big kids.
Fantastic.
One thing that we do a lot is that we never go a day without, I don't know. We're so touchy feely.
Yeah, we touch a lot, and she Michelle is touchy, man. Lord have mercy. Yeah, so we touch, and again touch. When I got married to her the first time, she always tell me, just touch me. So because I didn't know, like I feel touch is only when you want to,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I'm driving, she just wants to touch. Like
if we're having a fight,
She wanted. So for me, and I've got to learn that the touch actually does help. Touching, it's a healing. You know, like, you understand what I'm saying? There are times when
Absolutely.
things, she'll just come and she'll be like, babe. So once that touch comes, guess what? A lot of things change come down, right? And even when I'm like, she'll be like, babe, I'm touching you. And I'm like, okay, you know what? So I've learned that. And again, there's something we do. We when we fight, we make sure you know this is unbelievable. But I'm not saying it for anybody to believe, but it has worked for us. Since we got married, like I told you guys, we fight a lot. I'm not trying to fake it up. Yeah, no, we still fight and we're still gonna fight. Yeah. So, but the issue is we make sure we don't let it go overnight. Like there are times I'll be like, you know what, I'm not gonna apologize even when I'm wrong. And we know Michelle will call me once it's 11:50. It was under you call me 11:50 p.m. She was like, babe, you know we haven't said we can't sleep, you know. So she woke me up and I was like, you know what? Then she apologized. I was wrong, though. And she apologized. And I held her and I said, okay, you know what? I apologize. In my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm winning. So, but the issue is make sure we settle our fight because when you a day will come when you be like, you wake up because here in America, the rate of divorce and separation is high. Like my job, military, people break up every day. Like, so when people say, oh man, I just broke up my wife, like it's not the news. You're like, oh really? Oh man, hey, take care, bro. We'll see you later. Let's keep going. It's nothing. Like, it's nothing in
Wow.
But for us right now, we the reason why we do this is because people just sleep and wake up and be like, hey, I don't feel anything anymore. I feel we're falling apart. Let's just break up. After 20 years, after 15 years, after 10 years. And that's why when you settle this little foxes, don't keep malice. I'm telling you, malice is something that kills relationship.
True.
Make sure you settle before you sleep. It's possible. We do it.
Absolutely.
Look, I'm not saying we don't fight. We fight. We quarrel. But the issue is we don't sleep overnight without settling this. It has worked for us. And it will work for everybody if you can. I see people quarrel and they keep 1 week, 2 weeks. I'm like, what are you keeping this for? Like, come on, man. This is your wife. This is your husband. This is somebody you want to spend your life with. I mean, what are you proud about? Me, I'm proud of sometimes she'll be like, she has to apologize. And now guess what? I've also learned how to, she has taught me a lot. I've learned how to apologize because I'll be like, man, I'm the man here. Why should I? Man, come on. If you want to, yeah, you know. But she'll be like, babe, we need to settle. I guess we settle. And it has helped.
Fantastic.
Really awesome.
You know, while you were saying that, something that came to my mind is that one of the things that causes, you know, some ailment that people have is sometimes unforgiveness. When people hold on to unforgiveness, they don't know that it destroys even the physical body. I remember I read something from Joyce Meyer, and she said something. She said, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Oh, yeah.
She's a Joyce Meyer person.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. When I heard that, I was like, wow, you know, and that's so true. So true. So learning to let go of it quite early is very, very important. I can see some very lovely people here.
Yeah, thank you to
Thank you so
everyone
much.
joining us and for your comment.
Yeah, share it with your friends, you know, on your wall. Let more people get engaged, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so just something we think we need to throw in there. In-law relationship. What has it been like? Have you been able to navigate that?
Oh, in-laws.
In-law.
Baby, go first. It's fine.
So, in-law relationship is interesting, to say the least. But the thing that has really helped us is that even when people come from the outside, they've realized that our mentality is family first. And when I say family, it's like your spouse first, your kids, then everybody else. So we've had times where maybe an in-law, I don't want to be too specific, but you know, maybe an in-law interjects and think, well, since this person is my family, I can come in and tell you such. But then we band together. You know how like when twins are fighting or twins have issues and you think you want to come in between, then they gang up against you. That's kind of like how we are. It's more like, no, this is our thing. You need to stay out of it. Or if they come in and they say, well, I think you need to do this in your home. No, this is not your home. You know, so we're pretty blunt when it comes to in-law relationship. Like, no, let us do us, right? And we can come to you for advice if we need it, or if we feel like we want to get your input to something. But we always let them know that we put each other first, right? So let's say, for example, I have the mentality of I put my husband first. before my mom. Some people assume, well, no, this is your mom, you have to put her first. But that's not how the Bible says it. And that
Absolutely.
has really, really helped us out tremendously. It's helped us out. We haven't had like a big in-law loggerhead, really. No.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to say is, for my wife, yeah, this talking about, you know, us first and everything. When I got married to Michelle, I told her, I said, look, it's you first before the kids, and after you, the kids, because kids will come and go. It's me and you, right? So then you, then my dad, my mom is late. I have a stepmom, then your mom, then others. And and it has really worked for us. And even my dad, my dad is my greatest support in life. But my dad has lived with us for like 4 years now. Yeah, he's been living with us, and my dad understands his place. If we are going off, yes, my dad won't even say a word. It's when it gets out of hand, you be like, "Oh, no, Jirenia, why you?" Ozola, right?
No,
It means
Ozugo.
Ozugo. It means it's enough, and that's all he can say, because he knows that at the end, if he takes my side, we would bound together against him. So if he takes her side, so we don't like, it's us. Yeah, before others. So it's us, God, then others. So and
God, us.
God, us, others. Yeah, I made a mistake. And the same thing applies with her family, right? Man, there was an instance. I'm not going to go into it, you know, but I watched her. That was the early marriage, and because I wanted to know where her stand was, and the family did woo, and I was like, okay. And guess what she did? She took her son. She was like, no, my husband first. And I was like, okay, because I was ready to vote out. And guess what? She took stand in there, and to me that made me, and that's why I'm a twin. I have a twin sister that I love so much. So we are like best friends from birth, right? My sister understands that my wife comes first, because you know I'm just okay. We wear uniform, like we do a lot of uniform thing a lot. But my twin, this was what I was doing with my twin. So she would tell you, oh, that's my husband from birth, right? But now she understands that my wife, because it took her a while to understand. She's married, you know, with 2 kids, but it was hard. My younger sister, I have 2 sisters, just 2 siblings. My younger sister sees me as her boyfriend. So even at the point, I think she fought my wife on our wedding day. That's to tell you, because
We had a
she,
quarrel.
yeah, I mean, it, baby, it was a fight. So, but the issue,
Quarrel fight.
because to her, this is my boyfriend. You know, like my younger sister. If I was not her blood, she wants to date me. That's how close we are. Like, she loves me so much, you know. But I had to let her understand. Look, I don't marry you. This is my wife. You're my sister. So if you can have that boundaries, explain to your in-laws that, look, it's me and my husband. Then you guys, like here in America, people place their kids over their wives. I'm a leader in the U.S. Army, so I feel insurance stuff for people. So when I do that stuff, I'll be like, oh, put me 100% for my kids, and I'll be like, what of your wife? Like, oh man, I don't care about that. What, she gonna use my money to get a Mercedes or something? Now you gotta put my son in there or my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, easy. And I put it in. So I remember when I was deploying, I put my wife as 100%, and they were like, man, if you die, man, she gonna take everything. If you get shot, she gonna take all the money. I said, look, if I get shot and I die, I promise you, my wife is gonna get a Mercedes for herself. That's okay. But guess what? She's gonna take care of my family because I trust her.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Nigeria. And I said, no, look, I have trust that even if something happened and I close my eyes and dead today, I'm telling you, she has everything 100%. But I know if my dad called and say, Michelle, I need something, Michelle won't turn it back. No. I know I need a woman to marry. And that has really helped me to the point where in-laws know their place and we know our place. And that's
Fantastic.
Fantastic. That's really awesome. I like what you shared, and that just portrays the unity between a husband and wife. Okay, because your allegiance is first to your spouse, and then others can follow. That's really brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Whatever you're willing to share, but would like to hear, what challenges have you gone through as a couple, and how have you been able to navigate the process?
Go for it.
Challenges.
Go ahead.
It's I don't know.
By the way, some people are rooting for you. Okay, a lot of people love your relationship. This is interesting. Kudos to you both, the Echemahs. Okay, very interesting conversation. Loving it. Loving the dynamics and love between you two. You see, oh, that's sweet, Franklyn. I think talking about the 100%, that's really sweet.
Thank you.
Michelle was so proud of you. Okay, so whatever you're willing to share. We're whispering now. We're whispering now. So we don't wash dirty linen.
Yeah, hey, I mean, she got to take permission, you know.
So
Of course.
One of my biggest challenges when we first got married was that my husband is very, how do I say it? He has a lot of friends, a ton of
female friends.
99% of those friends are female. It took a lot for me to get over that, because I was like, oh my God, you say what? But even through time, I've actually, a lot of my really close friends are actually some of his friends, people that I met. And so there's been some good and there's been some bad. And I just left it up to him to know where to draw the boundary, where to draw the line. And the ones that did not have necessarily a good, mind concerning our relationship, they're slowly weeding out. They've been getting weeded out. And I think by God's grace, it's still, working. But it took me a lot of time to get to a place where I had to understand, like build that trust, right? Because, in dates, we just got married. So I had to start learning the kind of person he is, learning how he is with people, how friendly he can be. And you know what I mean? So just knowing him was what helped me to be comfortable and confident in myself, because when you have a man who is very versatile and very, how do I say it? He's very, he does everything. There's nothing that he doesn't get into. When I first had my son, he took care of my son for the first 3 months. I went straight back to work and took care of my son. He's awesome. He's the decorator in the house.
I didn't breastfeed. I didn't breastfeed. I only microwave.
So he's the decorator. He's the cook. Of course, I'm always in the kitchen with him. Like, he doesn't cook without me in there. I prep, he cooks, right? So it's like a partnership. So getting to know him, and at first he made me a little bit insecure. Like, oh my God, he can do everything. What am I doing? As the wife. And then I'm like, oh my God, all these females, what do they know how to do that I don't know how to do? So I had to take a step back, and look at myself and say, you know what, it's not about that. And so now just understanding him, having conversations, talking to each other is what helped us through those challenges, where now I'm at a point where I don't have to feel like, oh my God, like you're in competition with anybody. And we actually just had a major challenge that had nothing to do with anybody else, just us, right? And it really shook us. It shook us a lot. And we were just back and forth. And the one thing that I know that really helped us through it was our foundation in God, first of all. What God says about marriage, about unity, about love, forgiveness, most importantly. It helped us through that, but it really, really helped that we are friends. Because if we're not friends, even through the challenge that we went through, there were times when I was like, I'm not gonna be his friend anymore. He can keep that friendship somewhere, But even before the end of the day, I'm like, this is still my friend. This is still my lover. And we always talk to each other. We literally tell each other, it's not you against me. It's us against principalities and powers. And when we say that, it grounds us. But what really helped us out was, at some point we were going back and forth. Well, you did this and you did that and da-da-da. And what he did was he was just, because I was done talking and I was looking at him like, what are you going to say? And he looks at me and he just holds me. And we prayed. The healing that we got from that, for a challenge that we had been going through for over 2 years. The healing that 3 years. The healing that we got from that in that 10 minutes of just praying, it was phenomenal. So I think it's just like when you have a spouse, if you and your spouse are not friends, it's difficult. It's really, really hard. It's hard to go through things together. And remember, my fight is not against this person. It's us against whatever is coming at us.
Right. And my own challenge about Michelle. Man, Michelle is stubborn, man. Like, sometimes she could be strong with, but I think because she's very passionate, and when you a woman that's very passionate. Oh my God, they could come out. And you know, I grew up in a culture where the man is in charge, man. Hey, stop doing that. The woman has to respect. But in America, man, it's children, women, health for men. Oh yeah.
I just got that.
I just got that.
And in church, you know, as a part-time pastor in Winter Chapel, I tell people, I say, look, hey, you got to learn to respect your wife, because if you don't learn, you're gonna sleep in the garage, or they're gonna kick you out of your house, and you still have to pay the mortgage. So I tell them, I said, look, you got to learn how to respect. So it took me a lot to respect this woman. Like by the time I'll call, I'll say, you know what? Let me use the Bible, because the Bible helps. I said, look, I'm the head of the home, you're the neck, and you will listen. And she'll be like, and so when I use the Bible, I think that helps. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, you know, in as much as I'm the head, that doesn't mean I run the authority.
Absolutely.
So we have to dialogue, we still have to talk about things. But I make the final decision. But most of the things I do, you know, like the house where we live, me, if I make my decision of buying a house, I'm an architect by profession. I don't think I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to buy a small house, because I don't believe in all this. Like, I believe in, but when people look at me, they think I love big things. Yes, I like big cars, I like electronics. But when it comes to house, because I've built a lot of houses for people, houses don't trip me at all. So I love small things. Like, I love to invest. I love to make money. But my wife is like, oh, you know, good environment. She wants the children to have good school. But I look at 2 times or 3 times of what I should not be paying, but I have to work hard. And she's my support. She supports me a lot. But I'm like, if I was to make my decision as a Nigerian man, you will live in a Ikeja, not Lekki Phase 1. Yeah, because I can live in Ikeja and be a millionaire, then live in Lekki and all the millions is going into the property, all that stuff and bills. When I can actually save that money and they have a good investment and stuff like that. So I'm more of an investor. But guess what? God has given me wisdom to know how to still live here, give them a good life, and still learn how to invest and do stuff. I have to work extra hard because I want to retire on time. So my challenge is that she is stubborn. She's very strong-willed. Yes, bam. I like that. Very real. So I'm a stubborn man too. I'm not gonna say that. And I know Chidima, you'll be like, I know you, Frank. I am stubborn. Yes. But I love God, so I'm very passionate. I love God. I'm not perfect, but I have a place for God, and that's why God has been helping me. Because if God, thank you, Victor. If God was to judge me by my person, I don't think I'll be where I am today. So I look at myself. I look at David. Man, I haven't even done half of the things David has done, and he was the man after God's own heart. So I love God. I love music. I have a place for God, but her stubbornness and stuff like that, I've been able to transfer into something positive, and a lot has changed over the years. And for you young couples out there, just know that the weaknesses and strengths, you learn how to harness those together. There's something I'm doing right now in the doctorate. It said negativity and positivity are correlated.
Yes.
So they go, and so when you learn how to turn your negativity into positivity and begin to see the positive side of it, then when because love conquers. So with love overshadows the negativity, and that's
absolutely
beautiful. But if you focus more on the negativity, then there will be no positivity. Then the light is quenched. So you have to allow that light shine over the darkness, and that's what I believe with you.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Am I the darkness and you're the
no,
light?
you're not. No, you're not.
No, in
that sense.
You see what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, but hey, honestly, it has really helped us. It has really helped us knowing how to, have that, how do I put it? Balance, because my own, I could. She said I'm a time bomb, right? But tick, 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 tick in the army, boom, it started incoming. But when she comes and she touches, it helps. It helps a lot, and I've gotten better. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I like the touching effect.
Nice one. I was just going to say, because while you were saying about using the word stubborn, sometimes what we call stubborn is just someone being determined. When you flip it around, when you channel it towards something, just someone being determined towards something. Because if you have a goal, something you set your mind on, and you don't have that tenacity, you know, you were not going to get anything done. And so it's that energy, that same thing that someone can put on something else, you know, and the person can just make it worthwhile. Looking at your marriage today, there are many things that you guys have had to go through, you know, living apart, you know, relocating to a new culture, understanding a new system. I know that because I made the same transition myself. Understanding the system was completely way different from where I was coming from. I had to lay low to understand the system, to begin to rise again within the system, to understand how to do things the right way, you know, to study in a new culture. All those stuff, you know, man, well, hey, God saw us through all that. So I understand when you're trying to make a transition at the same time, you're trying to understand the spouse at the same time, you're trying to build a dream at the same time, you're trying to, you know, grow a vision,
a whole lot of work.
doing many things. You know, say again?
It's a whole lot of work.
It's a whole lot of work. So a part of you needs to die for a new part of you to evolve. That ego you have, that, oh, I was this person from where I'm coming from, you need to lay it down, man. Because
America,
that's the way to work here.
America, humble me, man. Hey, I go to work by 11.
Wow.
And by 1 o'clock, I'm home. Like, I just go to the side. I'm like, hey, I don't like this. Take it out. And there are lots was coming in. But here, bro, there are things I did in America that I will never do in my life in Nigeria. But after people have said I had to do a lot to get to the point I got to. This country will humble you. And that's why you need to learn humility to survive.
Absolutely. Man, it's a leveler. You can't come and be like, oh, I am this. No, you will remain on the same spot for
not in America. Lord have mercy.
I'm telling you, you need to learn humility to be able to thrive. So understanding that, and then also having to manage the family, and then, you know, also, so there are many things that you guys have to do to get here. So, you know, we are telling the story in 1 hour, but man, it took you guys more than 10 years to be here.
Yes.
More than 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears of people saying, you know what, I'm going to be your best friend no matter what happens. I'm going to be by your side.
Intentional decision.
Absolutely.
Very intentional.
Absolutely. And I like what Michelle said when she said it's a daily thing. You wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to love you. And that's what love is. I'm going to love you. I'm going to believe the best in you. I'm going to call out the best out of you. And you can see how, you know, I mean, I wasn't like this many years ago. I'm a completely different person because someone is constantly holding me to a higher standard as I'm doing for her as well. And that's what relationship is about. And that's what relationship is. And you guys have really been fantastic. Honestly, you guys have really been fantastic.
Okay. Do you have final words?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've pulled so much, but I think there's still more in there.
My final words to everybody listening is be intentional. Be intentional. I mean, be intentional. And because that word intentional is like, when I look at her, I'm like, you know what, man, I just have to love you. I don't care the changes because, you know, I look at my wife. See, a lot of things comes with marriage. When the kids start rolling by, for the young men out there, the body's not going to be the way you saw it. There's a lot, there's a lot of wear and tear. So don't think, because some people, I talk to couples and once the wife have their first kid, second kid, my wife still looks good because we have to exercise, but a lot of sacrifice has to go in, right? I'm not very there when it comes to exercise. You called me this morning, saw me running, right? Because if I run, I know I'm going to get very big. So I know myself, right? So, but when you have a couple, when you have a spouse who is not there, don't alienate yourself from your spouse because the shape is not the way you saw it. Look, you have the kids. Look at the kids and look at the person. You are loving the person, not the body. Because only their ego, and they have an accident, and guess what happened? Everything changed, and they have a plastic surgery. So you need to know that. So when I look at my wife, I'm like, man, this is not what I saw 10 years ago. What's up? What's going on? But guess what I do? I look beyond that. See, it's an intentional act.
Absolutely.
If you're not intentional, I'm telling you, you're going to be logging off. And when you're logging off, guess what's going to happen? You're pulling out of the marriage. So know that it is not the body, it is the person. So when you go to the mirror, look at yourself. What do you see? You think it's you? There's something. There's something inside of you.
Absolutely.
So that's why I tell Michelle, I'm like, look, babe, what thing I like about you now, you're the person inside.
Absolutely.
And I say it surpasses every other thing. Oh, this you're beautiful, you're this. Those things are, you know, they're
ephemeral.
yeah, it is. So please be intentional and always remember that with God, everything is possible. Advice works. Sometimes what works for us might not work for you. But don't be scared to ask questions. You have Chino and Victor Acuna. I've known these people for years. They are tested and trusted. You can talk to them. Your informations are not going to be shared anyhow.
Absolutely.
It's different. But one thing I know is, with everything they tell you, with everything you learn in church, marriage seminars and stuff, you still have a lot of work to do. And their work is 10%. Yours is 90%.
Absolutely.
Be intentional. That's all I have to say.
Awesome.
Thank you. Phenomenal. We couldn't have said that better. Michelle, you have something you'd like to add?
The only thing that I would like to say is always remember that it's both of you. Both of you. It's not you're not competing with anybody else. And I've seen marriages a lot that they actually they live in the same house, but they're strangers to each other. And that actually motivates me. It motivates me to make sure we maintain our friendship. There are times when we have fights and I'm like, so what are you saying? Is this friendship over? You want us to just be married? And he'll look at me and say, no. But we were having like a heated argument, and then it ends right there, because it's like, no, I don't want to stop being friends with you, because it's one thing to be married. It's another thing to be friends, to continue to like the person that you're with. Never live in the house as strangers with each other.
Yes.
Talk to each other. Actually, one of our greatest challenges when we first got married was that I was confiding in him about him.
Okay, break that down.
Yes. So anytime I had an issue, I didn't confide in anybody else. I talked to him about what was bothering me. I talked to him about him. And that we still do it now. But at first he was like, what in the world? You can't tell me everything. You have to tell God. And this is true. If there are things you know that you cannot tell your spouse,
Tell God.
talk to God. Pray about it. So the most difficult ones, right? If you want to cuss your spouse out, I'll tell you this, just do it in your head and leave it alone. Because once those words come out,
They don't go
you
back.
can never take it back. You just can't.
Wow.
So be friends and talk to each other. Really talk to each other.
Fantastic.
And please do not forget, we've made a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
We're not perfect, but God has been our source and our strength. And when I hear couples talk about, oh, we don't quarrel, we're perfect.
They don't know each other.
I need the Holy Ghost to help me believe all that. I fight her all day, like, because I see her all day. We have to sit in this space for almost 10 years now. So like,
and then we worked at home.
Sometimes we work at home for 2 years, so I get tired of looking at this face. But we have to do some intentional thing. Go out. I love jazz. Sometimes she surprise me with jazz tickets. We go out. We do because I love concerts. We do concerts. She loves to. I promise a vacation once a year. Michelle's making me do vacation sometimes 3-4 times a year. And
it's
I'm like,
weekend getaways.
But okay? I make sure I put the bound and say, look, if you go past this money, now your money. So just like I said, it's not easy, but with God it's possible. And I've made mistakes to the point that, and I'm like, hey, yeah, babe, I made a mistake. And guess what? Learn to forgive. Learn to forgive. Like, if I tell you no, we're not perfect people. Come on, man. We make a lot of mistakes, and I'm full of mistakes. But God has been our strength, and we would not stop trusting and believing God.
And don't listen to the negative voices out there. People will advise you wrongly.
Listen to God. God. If it's not God, anything anybody's telling you and it's not in line with God's word, just say, hey, thank you. God bless you. Keep moving.
Fantastic. Man, fantastic. Awesome. Man, you guys are phenomenal.
Oh, really, really awesome time. There's so much we've gleaned from your story.
Absolutely.
There's so much in there.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you guys who've enjoyed it thoroughly. Absolutely. I would like to appreciate all the people that have been joining us. Please, if you've not subscribed, subscribe to our channel. We'd like to bring more content like this. Real and authentic people. Fantastic. Yeah. Someone just said you guys are explosive. Fire.
Thank you, Butola.
real and authentic content, real and authentic people like this. You know, we have more coming up. Please, if you've not subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and let's make one. If you just want family, we help this month. Let's help that one family, because man, if a family, when families are not together, things that happen, it's many people are impacted, children are impacted. You know, the only people that benefit from this are divorce lawyers.
Yes.
And government. I'm telling you, every other stakeholder loses. Even the extended family, everybody is suffering. But divorce lawyers are smiling to the bank. So let's save. If you just want family that we save, I'm telling you, we'll be very happy. Our ministry will be fulfilled, which is our goal, to help family to build healthy family. When people are healthy, they can build healthy union, then they can build romance, they can build intimacy. And let me tell you something. If I see my son today and I see him, sorry, I'm talking, you know, I'm just passionate about what you guys have said. I see my son growing and I'm wondering, see how healthy. He walks to a place like he owns the place. He's not cowering because he's living in a home where it's loved. Many people are living in a place where when they now release into the world, they are cowering because they grew up in an environment where a lot of people are hurt. You know, we don't want that. We want to minimize that as much as possible, honestly. Thank you guys.
Thank you for being so real.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
And we'll be sharing this again. There's so much to learn from your story. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to everyone again.
Man, my respect for you guys have just moved to another level. I'm telling you, guys are the real deal. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.